everyone, welcome back to the Grand Market Line. Today I have a special market watch where we're going to look at the top 12 best-selling cards on TCG right now. Starting with number 12 is Yamato. Yamato is very powerful and she's played in most Kinemon decks. Her ability states that when she attacks, she's able to do double damage and she banishes the life that she hits. This is especially important against Edward Newgate because when you play that deck, you don't want to give your opponent hand advantage considering how strong their leader is, and with every card in their hand, they're able to add counter power to protect their leader, Edward Newgate, which is already very hard to get over. For number 11, we have Jinbei. I can only assume it's number 11 because it's a hard to find card that you can only get at the treasure cups, and it's used in a lot of Don Flamingo builds. It's a great target to summon off of Don Flamingo's effect when he attacks, and on KO, Jinbei is allowed to return a character of 3 or less to their opponent's deck. Number 10 on the list is Monkey D. Luffy's Tournament Pack 1 card. I believe this card is number 10 on the best-selling list because it's used in a lot of the Whitebeard Straw Hat build. I currently use it in my deck and it's a great card. What it allows you to do is put 2 Dawn under it and get additional 2,000 power on top of the 2 Dawn you already placed. This reaches you to a 7,000 power limit and lets you hit over Whitebeard when you need to. Number 9 is the 5-cost Monkey D. Luffy Rush card. This card is number 9 for a reason. What it does is it allows you to swing at your opponent without being blocked when it has 2 Dawn underneath of it. This is extremely useful against Whitebeard. When he brings himself to 0 life, you can try to hit him with that final blow. On top of that, structure decks are really hard to find. This is a structure deck card, so people are having to go out of their way to order it on TCG if they weren't able to get those structure decks. Number 8 is the alternate art Edward Newgate. Edward Newgate is topping events everywhere, and it is amongst one of the strongest meta decks in the format. There's no question that this card is very, very powerful, and people are seeking it out everywhere they can. If you don't want to play the common version, and you want to flex on your opponents, then you can buy this more expensive copy. Or if you're just a collector looking for a really nice card, this is also one that people are going after. Number 7 is Nami. It was printed in the Romance Dawn set, and Romance Dawn is not slated for another reprint that the community knows of or that's been officially released. With that being said, it's driving the price up. Not only is it a sought after card because of the character on it, but it's a very powerful card in Straw Hat decks everywhere. If you play a Straw Hat deck, you're running this card at 4, no question. Number 6 is Kuzan. Kuzan is number 6 because people need it in order to play their black decks. On play, this card allows you to draw a card, and when it attacks, it lowers the cost of one of your opponent's characters by 4. This is exactly what the black decks want to do, and you need this card if you want to play black. Number 5 is Manga Shanks. Its pull rate was something like 1 every 2 cases. Nonetheless, it was very hard to get. Its price tag is around $923, so if you wanted this card, chances were you weren't going to pull it and you had to buy it on TCG. That's probably why we're seeing it as a bestseller, because it's so hard to get in packs that you just had to break down and buy it in cash if you really, really wanted it. Number 4 is Borsalino. Just like all of the other black cards, it just came out in Paramount War, so if you want this card, you either have to find a Paramount War booster box or buy it on TCG. So if you weren't able to get the booster boxes, you're probably buying all the black cards on TCG, which is making them best sellers. What Borsalino does is that it gets 1,000 attack on your opponent's turn, and it can't be KO'd by effect, so it's really hard to remove off of the board. Number 3 on the list is 3-cost Rush Zoro. This card has been very strong since OP01. It catches your opponents off guard when they can't foresee this card coming. They don't prepare adequately, and then you're able to attack the opponent and go for game sometimes when they least expect it. Not only that, but it's a 4 of in all Zoro decks, and Zoro is still seeing tons of play in OP02. So if you're one of those people playing Zoro, you have to buy this card in order to make your deck as strong as possible. Coming in at number 2 is the 9-cost Edward Newgate. This card allows you to add an additional 2,000 power to your leader when it's played until your following turn. This means if your opponent wants to attack you, they have to hit you for at least 8k, which is extremely hard to do. On top of that, it prevents you from losing any further life from your leader's effect. And when it swings, if it has 2 Dawn under it, it can KO one of your opponent's characters of a cost of 3,000 or less. With all of these amazing effects, and considering that Whitebeard is currently one of the best decks in the meta, you can understand why this is the second most sold card on TCG currently. That leads us to the number 1 best-selling card on TCG. It's none other than 10-drop Kuzan. Like we mentioned before, black cards are hot right now. They just came out and everyone's seeking them out. So if you weren't able to get the booster boxes, you have to buy these cards on TCG. With an effect like Kuzan, that while it's your turn, it lowers all of your opponent's characters by 5 cost, and on play, it KOs one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0 or less, you can see why it's number 1. This card facilitates what the black deck wants to do, and without it, it just wouldn't be nearly as strong. You definitely need this card. That does it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching.